Stay Lit, A Prescription to Avoid Doctor Burnout, 2020, by Dr. J.W. Crosby, MD. Time management for physicians, nurse practitioners, and physician assistants. Why are so many doctors late so often? We are teased about this almost as much as for our bad handwriting. Sometimes it's impossible to be on time with emergencies and flu epidemics after time off, or if someone breaks down sobbing in your office. But a lot of times we can be on time if we recognize and get control of all the time wasters in our day. We can learn to be on time just like we can learn to golf. Bad example. We can learn how to be on time just like we can learn how to ride a bicycle. Let's look at the top 10 reasons doctors are late and see how you and your staff can learn how to change them. 1. Too many patients. 2. Improper delegation. 3. Paperwork and emails. 4. Interruptions. 5. Multi-problem patients. 6. Seniors. 7. Too many outside responsibilities. 8. No competition. 9. Psychological counseling. 10. Never taught how to be efficient. Why be on time? A lot of doctors see it as a badge of quality to have an overflowing waiting room. It means we are sought after. But the patients are not happy. Their time is valuable too, and they will complain to friends, family, and your staff, but not to you. When they finally get in to see you, they will take much more time just to get their money's worth. Also, they will suffer more pain and worry. You will end up missing breaks, lunch, and get home late, tired, and worn out. This can lead to stress and burnout for you and put pressure on your personal relationships. If you feel rushed, you may end up cutting corners and missing diagnoses. You can end up losing the joy of medicine that you had as a young medical student. Wouldn't it be wonderful to start your day on time with all your paperwork and emails done, and empty in-basket, happy staff, and patients? How about an hour and a half for lunch, uninterrupted by the phone, and then leave for home at 5 p.m. sharp to enjoy the evening with your loved ones and friends without a bulging briefcase? If you solve these 10 problems, you too can be on time. 1. Too many patients. This is a huge problem worldwide with an aging population and sicker, more demanding patients. Our city, Cambridge, Ontario, Canada, was one of the most underserviced in Canada for years, and only in the past 10 years do we have enough family physicians thanks to the work of our local doctor recruitment task force. You can advertise at your hospital, and with the aid of your medical staff secretary, you can get an assistant to help you. This could be a part-time doctor just starting a family, or an older one looking to wind down their practice. You can offer them incentives, such as a no on-call. You can also hire a nurse, nurse practitioner, or physician assistant to help you with the load. Barriers to change. Many doctors are afraid their income will drop if they hire more staff and have to pay them. However, you will find that you become more efficient and will make more money. Your easy, little, well-paying cases that used to go to the emergency room or to the walk-in clinic will return to you. If you are in a rostered practice, you will avoid the financial penalties of outside use at walk-in clinics. To prevent getting too overloaded, don't take any new patients without exception. Even if Aunt Mabel calls you and begs you, tell her you are overloaded and this will decrease care for all and stress you out. Offer to get her in to see another doctor. Also, if a physician in town quits and there are a lot of orphan patients, don't get guilted into taking them. It will diminish care for your existing patients. I had a family doctor at one of my lectures who had 5,000 patients. He was so stressed out that his health and marriage were in jeopardy. He quit and went to work in a walk-in clinic, causing all his patients to be orphaned. He could have called his provincial college of physicians and surgeons and worked out a deal where he could have let 3,000 go and had done a good job with the remaining 2,000. 2. Improper delegation. This is a frequent problem that I see when I'm giving workshops or mentoring general practitioners. They have never been taught how to properly delegate. The secret is to shift the initiative. Get your staff and coworkers to not dump all their problems on you, but to bring you their solutions. Secretaries are the most important people to help you stay on time. You need to be in constant communication with them. On lab results and imaging, you need to be very specific on how you want each result handled. Meet with them for lunch monthly to discuss office efficiencies. They are trained to run a tight ship and need your blessing, backup, and cooperation. I talk to my secretary every Monday morning to discuss the upcoming weekly schedule to avoid overload and conflicts. Nurses can help you stay on time. If you can't afford a full-time nurse, hire one for one afternoon a week and have her help you do all your needles, well baby examinations, prenatal examinations, and physicals. She will pay for herself many times over. With nurses at the hospital or nursing homes, you should communicate by responding to their faxes stat. Nurse practitioners can do everything a family doctor can, including prescribing narcotics and taking away driver's licenses. Why they would want to is beyond me. I work with one and she covers my entire office and 2 nursing homes practice when I am away. With pharmacists, communicate by fax. My secretary puts the fax sheet on top of the chart of the next patient to be seen and I deal with it stat. This avoids a phone call. E-prescriptions are now starting and will help a lot. Specialists are not often thought of as being someone we delegate to, but they are. General practitioners are like generals in the Army. We are the quarterbacks of the team, leading and coordinating care. The buck stops with us. With specialists, you have to be very precise in what you want them to do, and in your consult letter, send them everything you have done with regard to prior diagnosis and treatment, even things that failed. The patient. Get them to take an active part in their care for better buy-in and compliance. 3. Paperwork, computer work, texts, and emails were covered above. 4. Interruptions. The phone is the biggest interrupter for doctors. I have no phones in my exam rooms and the phone doesn't ring in my office. I speak only to specialists. You have to really back up your secretary on this one. Post a notice in your office, and if anyone complains that they wanted to speak to you and your secretary wouldn't put them through, try this script. I'm sorry you're upset that my secretary wouldn't let you speak to me when you called recently. This is our office policy. We value your time and want to be on time for you. We want to offer same-day appointments for urgent cases. If I spoke to everyone, I wouldn't have time for my office patients. If you don't back up your staff, they will open the floodgates and let the patients drown you. Workload can be predicted for the most part. Because Mondays are usually the busiest, we leave them wide open for same-day call-in emergencies. This is great for the patient wanting in quickly and makes us love Mondays instead of hating them. Of course, then you will hate Tuesdays. Also, if your summers are quieter, gradually shift annual physicals into them. If you have a wobbler, an older patient with multiple problems and caregiver burnout, have your staff set up a family meeting. Link in out-of-towners on your speakerphone. They often feel guilty and can take it out on you. With the patient's and substitute decision-makers' permission, outline in simple terms what the diseases are, what the future may be, and discuss resuscitation wishes, home care, nursing homes, and respite care. Have the family schedule shifts in caregiving to avoid burnout. Have the family elect a spokesperson, and they alone can communicate with your staff spokesperson. This takes more effort up front, but can really save you time later on. 5. Multi-problem patients. I once asked my auto mechanic if he liked customers coming in with lists of things for him to fix on their cars. He said, "Heck yeah, I can bill them for each thing and have them leave their vehicle for the day." As doctors, we can't do this. I think it's tacky to have a note on your wall saying only one problem per visit, but at the same time, it isn't fair to our other patients or ourselves to let a patient reel off 5 problems and expect us to fix them all on the spot. A nice compromise that has always worked for me is to reach over and take the list and ask the patient to pick their top 2 concerns. Tell them to rebook for a full physical later and assure them you will check everything. My script is, I see you have 5 problems today. In order to be fair to you and give us lots of time to solve them all, please choose your top 2 concerns. Let's get some lab work now and set up a full physical to check on the other 3. Some patients keep reeling off new complaints as soon as you're done the last one, so I say, let's rebook to get in everything as I stand up and walk them out to my secretary. 6. Seniors. Seniors have all the time in the world and you have none. They often have many diseases and medications. I have 2 nursing homes and half of my practice is over the age of 65. I ask them what has changed. We book them in for the middle of the day, which tends to be quieter, as most young workers and students want to see us after 3 p.m. Ask your secretary to remind them to bring in a caregiver and all their medications in a bag, including over-the-counter medications. Have good lighting, face them, and speak slowly and clearly, as many are hard of hearing and secretly lip read. Watch the caregiver for the rolling eye sign when you ask them how they are coping. Give them a big print handout and write on their medications in big print what they are for example, blood pressure. If you have patients scattered across town in nursing homes, give them up to the house doctor who can offer them more frequent care. If they are mixing up their medications, get home care out to assess and have the pharmacist do blister packs. 7. Too many outside responsibilities. House calls are great for you and the patient, but are poorly paid and hard to fit in. We are lucky to have in Cambridge a family doctor who has given up her office practice and does house calls for everyone. Administration for your office. If you are a solo family physician, meet regularly with your staff. If you are in a clinic, make sure you have a paid office manager and paid MD manager who can make sure each doctor follows the same rules with regard to billing for third-party fees, hours of operation, phone advice, try not to ever use the phone yourself, and scheduling of holidays. Check with your college for the rules. Our family health organization of 18 family doctors has 2 retreats a year with our spouses at a nice resort where we have dinner on Friday night. On Saturday morning, we do 3 hours of medical education. On Saturday night, we attend a dinner and dance or the theater, and then on Sunday morning, we have a 3-hour business meeting. This is a good time to team build, learn, socialize, and communicate with each other. Call groups. Try to form as big a group as is practical to avoid being on call as much as possible. In Cambridge, we have 60 family physicians in one group. There are 2 doctors on call every night, one for surgical assists and one for critical office lab results and nursing homes. This was formed by taking the old call groups and gradually combining them. This is good for the patients, staff, and us. Time managing the hospital. You can combine hospital ward rounds by having one member of the group do the whole group's rounds for a week, or you can get hospitalists. Limit yourself to one committee at the hospital per year and ask for it to meet at your convenience, for example, lunch or breakfast. Ask if you can be on first, then leave. You can also do this with family meetings. Always ask if the meeting is necessary, as hospital administration types are addicted to meetings. It helps to share the blame. You may be able to do it by email or phone conferences. Make sure there is an agenda and start on time and end early. Try to keep committees to 7 or less people and have them self-destruct on completion of stated goals. 8. No competition. With the doctor shortage, patients can rarely leave one doctor for another. There is no incentive to be efficient other than pride in giving good service to patients. This can also benefit the doctor. If patients have to wait, they often think up new problems or complain to you about how hard it is to get in to see you. Financially, if you are fee-for-service, it makes sense because the quick, easy, little well-paying urgencies will go to the walk-in clinic. If you have a rostered practice, you can be penalized for outside usage by patients of doctors not in your group. 9. Psychological counseling can take up a huge amount of your time and energy. Patients often can't afford the high cost of a psychologist or don't have benefits to pay for a social worker or counselor. Waiting times for psychiatrists are scandalous almost everywhere as well. Patients also often want to come to see only you because they are comfortable with you and trust you, and there is no stigma in sitting in your waiting room. Make sure your patients check with their employer to see if they have any coverage for counseling or if they have any employee assistance plans. There is often geared to income counseling available. Ask your secretary to check with your local mental health clinic. I tell patients that if they had a heart problem, they would think nothing of going to a cardiologist. So if they have a mood disorder, the expert is a psychiatrist, and there is no shame in getting help. I also tell them a counselor can spend an hour with them, but I can't due to patient demands. 10. Never taught to be efficient. Doctors are taught to be slow and methodical and to not miss anything. As we gain experience, we learn to hone in on important matters. Cutting corners can still burn us, so we have to learn how to be efficient without missing anything. The nice thing about time management is that it gives you more time with the patient. If you have done the above 9 things, you will find yourself refreshed and able to see people when they need it and spend lots of time really listening to and examining them because you won't be rushing. You won't be demoralized by an overflowing in-basket, a standing room only waiting room, and constantly ringing telephones. Also, you can rob Peter to pay Paul for more time with patients. For example, say you have a healthy young man with a cold. On exam, he looks well with no abnormal signs. You can see him in 2 minutes and give the 8 extra minutes saved to a more complicated patient. To end the interview, ask the patient what they wanted from the appointment. Then sum up what you have said, stand up and walk them to the printer in your secretary's office for lab, imaging, advice sheets, or a prescription.